categorically that I consider anyone who fiddles their welfare benefit, or for that matter their tax, to be both a criminal of law, or a criminal in law, and a criminal in moral.
I disagree with people who work a lot of hours and get a lot of money. That is wrong.
Oh, so
but
it's
for people
big crimes you're against, little crimes you're in favour of.
No,
You're a cretin. Goodbye. How do, Paul?
Hi, Alan.
Yep.
I'd just like to disagree with the people who were talking about rabies before. They obviously don't know anything about rabies, because one person said about a fox and having cubs and the cubs having rabies. Well, it doesn't get passed on that way, because when...
But the cubs could in fact contract it.
The cubs could contract it by being bit by something else.
Indeed.
But not... But the thing is, for the cubs to get to a year old after contracting it, it's very, very difficult, because it's usually 3 to 6 weeks.
Well, they may well contract it when they're, 48 weeks old, and then bring it through tunnel.
So you do think it's possible for them to bring it through
I neither think it is nor isn't. I'm merely stating that that is possible within the confines, or at least is something to defeat your argument with.
Yeah, I think that it would be very unlikely.
Very unlikely means it could happen, correct?
Yeah.
So you agree that it could happen?
I don't agree that rabies could come through the tunnel.
But you just said it is unlikely. Are you now saying it's impossible?
No, I'm not saying it's impossible.
So you believe it's possible?
Well, anything's possible.
Well, it's a simple question. Yes or no will suffice. Do you believe it is possible?
Yes.
Thank you. How do, Tony?
I do, Alan.
What do you want? Small things amuse small minds. Do they come any smaller than that particular Tony's? It's 29 minutes to 1, which means, of course, it's melodic moment time. We'll be back with the calls a little later after a few tunes, good uns, bad uns, and indifferent uns, no doubt. If you wish to join us, the telephone number is Preston 561,000, but I suggest you don't ring it for a moment or two, because if you do, you'll be told, "What are you ringing now for? We're doing the music!" Then that may well upset you. Jennifer Warnes. Jenny sings Lenny. All Leonard Cohen songs, which are rather good. He's my favourite male singer, I think. You thought the melodic moment was over, didn't you? But you were wrong. Just can't remember what's next. Got it written down somewhere. Oh, I remember, yes.
I'm imagining a lot of happy people.
Good grief. There are none.
And most of you are with someone you love.
I'm working.
Well, you are the lucky ones.
Say that again.
All over the world there are lots.
We'll be back with the phone in after the 1 o'clock news, which is not but 2.5 minutes away. Telephone number, if you want to join us, is Preston 561000. Do you remember this? God, are you that old? Bend me, shape me, any way you want me. See? I told you. Right now it's time for the 1 o'clock news. We'll be back with our first call after the 1 o'clock news on Preston 561,000.
The 1 o'clock news, this is Mike Carson. The parents of 6 children in the Cleveland child sex abuse row will find out today if their youngsters can return home with them. The judgment will be the first in 20 crucial cases referred to the High Court in Leeds by Britain's top presiding judge, Lord Justice Watkins. Helena Kirkwood reports.
Today's judgment in open court will end a month of silence imposed on the 2 Teesside families waiting this morning to discover the fate of their 6 children, aged between 7 months and 7 years. They were ordered in June not to comment publicly on their cases. Mr. Justice Hollis has spent a week hearing secret evidence from Cleveland child consultant Dr. Marietta Higgs, who diagnosed abuse, and independent doctors who have given the youngsters the all-clear. Lawyers are warning if the parents are vindicated today, they could decide to sue Dr. Higgs. Helena Kirkwood, IRN, Leeds.
A convicted drug smuggler will give evidence later today in the trial of lifeguards captain Simon Hayward. The officer denies smuggling £500,000 worth of cannabis into Sweden. From Stockholm, Lindsay Taylor reports.
Forbes Mitchell was arrested at the same time as Captain Hayward. He was convicted last month for his part in the smuggling ring and sentenced to 7 years. At his trial, he said the captain smuggled drugs for money and excitement and because he said he could get away with it. His account tallies with that of an Interpol inspector who's told the court his best informant said the captain was fully aware he was smuggling cannabis and was to be paid £20,000. The captain's mother, Hazel, is also expected to be called today. She's maintained all along her son is innocent. Lindsay Taylor, IRN, Sweden.
Military history will be made today when the first black man ever to complete training as a Grenadier Guard joins the passing out parade at Purbright in Surrey. Prince Charles is believed to have actively encouraged the elite Guards regiments to recruit black soldiers, but Richard Stokes almost quit because of racial abuse during his training. His adoptive father, Brian, says he's sure his son will have to fight further personal battles because of his colour.
I would rather hope that he isn't going to find difficulties in promotion and reward because of his colour. Certainly we have not experienced anything other than support from the officers and the NCOs who have been responsible for his training.
Work is due to begin on the British end of the Channel Tunnel in 8 weeks' time, following the grandeur of the ceremony in Paris yesterday, giving the final go-ahead for the historic project. Peter Spencer saw Mrs Thatcher and France's President Mitterrand complete the formalities.
Monsieur le Président, depuis notre rencontre dans la vieille...
President Mitterrand said the project would bring Britain closer to Europe, and Mrs Thatcher was determined to prove his point. Both leaders seemed confident that the builders would be able to raise the £4.5 billion needed and that trains would be running through the tunnel by 1993. So all that remained was for Mrs Thatcher to wish them luck, in English.
It's over to industry and the financiers to provide the means to go ahead and build it,
thereby creating a monument to 20th century technology. Peter Spencer, IRN, Paris.
Independent Radio News.
Ring him if you dare.
Allan Beswick, the Late Night Show.
3.5 minutes past 1. If you want to join us on the phone in, the telephone number is Preston 56 1000.
Red Rose Radio.
How do, David?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about the barber.
Go on.
Well, you said it was a woman, but it can't be, because women shave as well. They shave their legs.
Ah, but I said that.
Did you?
I said he's not going to be shaving, but they don't all shave their legs, you see. It could be a woman who doesn't shave her legs or under the arms or any of the other bits that they sometimes do. You appear not to be able to ricochet from that with a scintillatingly tantalising remark.
True.
In other words, you sound ghost.
Yeah.
See ya. How do, David? Another one.
Oh, is it me this time?
Yes, it is. It's confusing, isn't it?
It is a bit, yeah. How you doing?
I'm all right. What do you want?
Well, I've got a girlfriend who lives in Blackpool. I'm from London, and I don't know how it works on this sort of like outside thing that you do, this like roadshow situation. But I mean, you're in Blackpool, and you've got an area that covers most of like outside shopping areas, and you've got little old ladies.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm not in Blackpool.
Oh, well, you got the Phillips moving sound, whatever you call it.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you got an area that you're in the centre of town, and you got a lot of sort of people who want to like get past, and you like take up most of the area. I mean, who decides that you can do this sort of... I mean, I'm not knocking it because it was a great show. I mean, the boys did a good show. I mean, you were involved yourself, and you know, it's quite impressive. But
well, the one I did was in the Pleasure Beach. So the Pleasure Beach decided, Pleasure Beach management, they were happy to have it because, of course, it brought more people into their Pleasure Beach so they could spend their lovely money. But
yeah, well,
in a local authority area, indeed that's a local authority area, but in an area, it would be the owner of the area that would decide, and if it was a public area, then it would be the public authorities vis-à-vis the council.
Really? Well, it's a good idea. It's a great idea, but I mean, a lot of old ladies and things like that want to get past and whatever. And then, you know, I was there on whenever it was Monday, whatever it was.
Well, there's one every day, I think.
It's good. I'm not knocking it because it is good. I mean, Phillips like work hard, and I mean, the boys and your presenters work hard and things. But you know, it amazes me that you can sort of like take an area like that and it covers most of it, so these people can't get past. You know.
Well, what do you want me to do?
All I want to say basically is, from the Phillips Moving South boys, well done, Alan. It was a great show, and thanks for being with us.
I thought it was you lot. Have you had a good time?
Yeah, great. You were terrific. I tell you.
It's very interesting buses, Jan.
It
Listen,
is amazing.
why have you got all got tinted hair? It worries me.
Because it's part of the job. When we audition for the job, we have to do our hair all like
You have to
highlights and things.
you'll have to look a bit posy.
That's what it is.
Dark glasses and glossy shirts.
This is it. This is Alex.
Who's the lady that's with you? There's a girl on the
That's
team.
right. She's
Who's
called
she?
Nikki.
I'm in love with her.
Yeah, are you really?
Yeah.
I'll get you fixed up.
Well, I don't know whether that'll do me any good, but I fall in love I'm desperately, passionately in love with her. Primarily because she was the butchish one of the lot of you.
Is that right? Listen, all the best for whatever you're going to do in the future. We've enjoyed being involved, and I couldn't resist
Where do
it.
you go next with Shara?
Pardon?
Where do you go next with Shara?
Where do we go next week?
Yeah.
We move out of Blackpool, unfortunately, because we had a great time here.
But where are you going to, I asked
We're
you?
going down to Gloucester, we're going to Exeter, then we're going down to Bristol.
Bristol?
You going to come and join us?
Don't be silly.
Oh, you should do.
Once bitten, twice shy.
You were great, and it was great.
I enjoyed doing it. It were all right.
Good boy.
We'll see you.
All right.
And thank you for coming.
Pleasure.
As the
Bye-bye.
actress said to the bishop. Ta-ra. How do... Whoever it is on line 7, I am to clue now. I'm getting all flummoxed. How do, Adrian?
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
I'd like to hear your views on what I would class as the gutter press, the likes of the Sun and the Star, who think they can print virtually any articles they like, slandering various people, whether they be famous or not, and don't think they can get away with it.
Well, my opinion on the gutter press, as you so adequately describe it, is that it is very, very good indeed. It is so absorbent that it should be cut into squares and put on a nail in the little room.
I mean, I think it's wrong the way, for example, I don't know, take the Sun for argument's sake, could print a huge headline saying, I don't know, Allan Beswick found guilty of soliciting for immoral purposes or something. And
oh God, it's out at last, Rod! It's out, Rod!
And you get loads of stick off all your mates and everybody else, and then it's found it's totally unfounded. And then in a few months' time, you get a tiny little square on page 11 tucked away in a corner saying, the Sun is sorry to Allan Beswick for saying that he was soliciting for immoral purposes. He wasn't really, we just made it up to sell a few more papers. But we don't care really because we've got away with it, and we printed an apology. Surely the apology should be printed in equal size on the front page, but it never seems to be.
Well, there are rules and regulations about that, and I suppose at the end the redress is that if they printed such a story, I could bring a case for libel, as the famous Mr. Archer has just done, and made 500,000 notes. Whether I would succeed would depend on a number of things. I would have to prove that my character had been defamed, and I state here and now unequivocally that if any newspaper ever prints any story like that about me, I will do absolutely nothing.
And why is that?
Because I wouldn't give them the time, because I'm not interested. Get on with it. Whenever a journalist says to me, is it true that? My answer is, what does it matter? Print it if you fancy. I don't care.
I mean, it's right. I mean, the likes of Jeffrey Archer, who's got countless millions tucked away in the bank, if someone gives him a load of stick in a paper, he's got the means to go for a court case that's just been seen, and he can come away with £500,000 in his pocket. And, I mean, the average bloke on the street isn't in a position to do this. So maybe it mightn't be in a national paper, it could be in his local paper or something, but he won't have the means.
That's right, he hasn't got the financial clout, and you can't get legal aid for libel, or generally you can't. It has been known, I think, on a couple of occasions, but generally you can't get legal aid for libel cases. But quite honestly, I don't see the point. I don't know why he bothered, Jeffrey Archer, or indeed anybody else for that matter. I honestly don't see the point. My attitude is, Get on with it. Print it. I don't give a suck what they say.
By the way, what do you think Jeffrey Archer's done with his money?
When you say his money, what do you mean?
The money we
The $500,000?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, he hasn't got it yet.
Well, when
And there is an appeal pending, so we won't get it until the outcome of that appeal, assuming the appeal goes ahead. And if he does ultimately get it, there is a suggestion, although I think it might be that the newspapers have created that suggestion in order to bring pressure on him, but there is a suggestion that he'll give it to some charity or other. I neither know nor care, and I don't think it ought to be reported what he does with it, but it will be.
Yeah, okay, thanks a lot, Alan.
Cheers, ta-ra. Rory, you're on next, but after this.
Have you got a Red Rose Radio 7-Up car sticker in your car? If not, get one now, as we're giving away £5 a day, Monday to Friday, throughout July, August and September to owners of cars seen with one of these stickers. To get your car sticker, send a stamped addressed envelope to Red Rose Radio Promotions, P.O. Box 301 Preston, and tune into Red Rose Radio to see if your car's been spotted. This promotion is run in association with Red Rose Kitchens of Moorbrook Street, Preston.
John Wilding.
The Garstang Agricultural and Horticultural Show is this Saturday. There's something for everyone at this great annual event, and this year's show promises to be the best yet. John Wilding and a superb range of e-registration Fords will be there. Smithy Caravan Park with a quality range of caravans will be there. Make sure you're there. Don't miss the Garstang Show this Saturday, August the 1st at Wire Lane, Garstang.
When you think about cars, it pays to think of John Wilding. John Wilding.
It's back to school with Slater's for massive stocks of school uniforms at low, low prices. Why pay through the nose when Slater's stock the lot? Fully lined washable blazers from $11.99, school shirts from $2.99, trousers and skirts from $4.99, and ties and socks from 69 pence. More choice and lowest prices at Slater's. Branches at Preston, Wigan, Ashton in Makerfield, Lee, Bolton, St Helens and Warrington. Make sure your child goes back to school with Slater's.
On a sign by a house, there's a message and a name you should know. The message says for sale, and the name shows the way to move home. The name is White Gates, and that means action!
Tomorrow's kind of estate agent works fast to get results. With White Gates, Red Rose sellers get red-hot service, and you pay nothing until the property is sold.
When the sign says White Gates, you're on the way to a sale.
I'll do, Rory.
Hello, Alan.
Yep.
What do you think of Peter Wright's, the way the government's spending public money on Peter Wright's novel, The Spycatcher?
What do you think?
Well, I think it's terrible, because...
Why?
Eh?
Why?
Well, they could be spending it on something better than just a silly old novel,
Well, if it were just a silly old novel, I may or may not agree with you, but the implication and the suggestion is that it's not a silly old novel, it's a very damaging novel.
Why? Well, it is a very damaging novel, all right, but, I mean, they could be spending the money on something like handicapped children or something like that.
Of course they could be spending the money on handicapped children. But we employ a secret service. The objective of that secret service is to gain a strategic and military advantage over our potential enemies. Indeed, it is to get advance warning of any attack they might launch against us. It is as valuable or useless as is any other defence mechanism, as any other defence or any other part of the defence budget. So, if we accept that we are going to have a secret service,
yeah,
and I'm sure you're not arguing, at this moment at least, that we shouldn't, if we're going to have one, then it is ludicrous to have one if we create a situation or allow a situation to develop where that secret service ceases to be secret. Yes?
Well...
Would you agree?
I'd agree, but, I mean, I don't agree with them spending the public money on...
Well, whose money do you think they should spend? They've only got public money.
I know, but, I mean, why should they spend it on a novel?
Well, they're not spending it on the novel. They're not going out and buying copies of the novel. They are attempting to prevent the novel getting to the British public generally. Now, they are probably going to fail in that.
Yeah.
Because the
It's a
British
long-lost
public...
battle,
Well... It is, in terms of the straightforward issue, preventing Peter Wright's novel being published anywhere in the world, the government's legal departments have failed. However, there is another objective. And the other objective is to make sure that Peter Wright, the individual, doesn't make a penny out of the